welcome to another episode of Monday Tsene with your Pretoria Psychologists. And as you know, we bring you current and pressing mental health issues. So this week, we will be touching on the topic of anxiety and how to navigate these uncertain times. So many of us have been under lockdown during this pandemic. And what we have seen is that, it has put a little bit of a damper on how we start our year. Because usually, a new year presents to us new hope, new excitement, new goals, and we just really get upbeat about at the beginning of the year. But because we started out in South Africa, for example, in the middle of a lockdown, we had all the restrictions in place, that could put really such a damper on all of us, or even bring a lot of uncertainties because we don't know now what's going to happen. So we just all feel like unsure of what to do, if we should go ahead and plan that holiday, if we are going to be working or will be working from home, will the kids be attending school. So there's quite a lot of uncertainties and not feeling like we have a plan in place that is kind of solid and that we can follow. And as you know, as human beings, we are definitely creatures of habit. We just love the predictability in life, even though it's quite limited. We like to know that there's something that we can follow through on a day-to-day basis. This helps us to feel more confident, in navigating life and feel like we've got this, we can manage this. We have the skills or the resources. And of course, when you're doing something over and over again, you end up using very less cognitive resources, which means not too much of an effort goes into thinking and planning and following through. But because of the pandemic, we really find ourselves in a difficult place where we just feel it's really difficult. What are we going to do now? Should we plan or should we not? So I just want to speak to you guys today on all the uncertainties, because we know living in that state of uncertainty brings about a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic, which can cause us a lot of discomfort. So it can really put a strain on our mental health. First and foremost, I just want to acknowledge that whatever you're feeling and experiencing right now, it's a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. So I'm not disregarding the panic, the anxiety, and all of those uncertainties. But all I'm saying is we need to find a way of coping with these challenging times so that we are not completely overthrown and overwhelmed and just not being able to cope throughout the year. So what we will touch quickly on is just 5 points on how one can manage the uncertainties. Firstly, let's just take it out of the way, is that we will always have uncertainties, and that is guaranteed. So it's just learning how to cope with them and to live with them. So how do we manage uncertainties? First and foremost, we want to learn to manage what is within our control. So in psychology, we talk about a circle of control. So if you can imagine, within a circle, there's the outer layer of a circle where you are able to manage things, where you are not able to manage things, rather, where it's the pandemic that's happening, it's everything else that is happening around you, people's reaction, the news, when lockdown will end, and all of those things. They are outside of our control, and there's pretty much little that we can do to control and shift things around there. But in that circle, there's also like a smaller portion of what you are able to control, and we call that your inner circle of control. And this is where you are able to look at, what am I thinking, how am I feeling, and what can I do? These are things that are within your control. So in here, we can find that, we can still manage what we're thinking about the day-to-day occurrences. What do I think about this pandemic? Are my thoughts always negative about it? Or am I going to flip the script and say, you know what, in the midst of a pandemic, there's still positive things to look at? And how am I feeling? This is touching into, okay, I'm feeling really anxious, acknowledging your emotions and going through them and allowing them to dissipate gradually. And also there's the behavior. What am I going to be doing? Am I going to exercise, or am I going to sit on the couch every single day, eat my chips and eat all these things? Or am I going to get up, exercise, and take care of myself and go about? all my responsibilities on a day-to-day basis. So this really talks to us about managing what is still within our control in the midst of a world that seems to be spiraling out of control. So the second thing is just to challenge really that need for certainty. Why do we want to always be certain about things? Does this talk to how we feel maybe we don't have the resources or the skills to cope with uncertain times? Or is it because we feel like we're not well equipped, we can't plan enough, that need for that control? But sometimes we need to stop and realize, actually, in the past, I've had uncertain situations where I have navigated and I was able to manage. So we have to challenge those kind of thinking and also just look at, what did I do in the past? I was able to adapt, I was resilient, I came forth, and I was able to actually be where I am right now. And the other thing is to challenge that expectation, because often we associate uncertainties with a negative outcome. We always think the worst is going to happen, the baddest thing is going to happen. Is it really going to be always the worst thing? I'm not saying that it's always going to be positive, but sometimes there are positive outcomes when you experience uncertainties. For example, you might go to that job interview and you don't know what the outcome is, but then you have a positive outcome. And sometimes you might be applying for a program and you still have an uncertainty, but at the end of the day, you find yourself accepted to that special program that you wanted to get into. So what I'm saying here is we need to have a holistic thinking about things, looking at both the positives of being uncertain and also the negative. This will help us to manage, with all those feelings of uncertainty. So now, moving on to the third thing that we need to look at, we need to kind of learn to accept that there's going to be uncertainties. Like I said, life is really no guarantee, and you're just going to find yourself feeling uncertain about quite a lot of things. For example, I drove here today, or to a specific place. You drove to a certain place. You had to trust the other person coming that they would stop when the red robot says they should stop, or that you will actually get to where you're going. There were no guarantees, but you had to trust the process and still go about life. So this shows us that uncertainties are really part and parcel of our lives, but maybe we just touch on things that can help us to accept this uncertainty. First and foremost, allow yourself to feel that feeling of discomfort that comes with uncertainty. It's really uncomfortable, and it's okay. Take a moment to really take it in, to say, I'm uncomfortable, I feel uneasy, I really feel down. There are days we really just want to curl up into a ball and just go nowhere, and that's normal and that's okay. And the other thing is, recognize your triggers. Sometimes we're triggered by excessive access to the news. There's news about the pandemic, there's news about this. Now there's news channels like 24/7. You don't have to be looking at those news channels for 24 hours a day, but learn to know what is going to trigger you. In South Africa, for example, when you hear people say we have a family meeting, everyone goes into a panic and they start to think, what will the president say? But all of these things can be triggers, so you need to recognize for yourself, okay, is this a trigger for me? How much can I take? How can I manage the intake? So keep it to a minimum, identify a reliable source and say, okay, this is all I'm going to look at, and I'm going to look at it for this amount of time. All right, and the third thing is just to pay attention to your physical body. Our bodies have a way of speaking to us. Sometimes we're not even aware that there's something going on upstairs or something that we're feeling, but our bodies will definitely tell us that there's something going on over there. So pay attention to that tension in your shoulders, on your muscles, that irritability and all of those uneasiness in your stomach and lack of difficulty falling asleep. Those are indications that there is something that is underlying and that is going on that has to do maybe with fear, with anxiety. So pay attention to those and respond accordingly. This could really be a simple meditation, a breathing technique. There's a lot of resources now, even on YouTube, online. So take a look at some of those things. So the fourth and almost second last thing is to focus on the present, focus on the here and now. So there's a lot that's going on, and it might seem like it's going wrong and it's not going according to plan, but in the here and now, I am here today, I am alive, I am breathing, I am outside, I can still experience nature, what is going on now. Maybe I still have to prepare for a child that's going to school, going to a different grade. Stay in the present and focus on now. Because remember, uncertainties are always about the future. You're just always looking at this future, which seems so bleak. But if you try to stay in the here and now, we're not disregarding the future, but we're saying the here and now also matters, and I really need to take it in and experience it and enjoy it to the best of my abilities. You know, you don't want to go back and look back and say, actually, I don't even remember what happened there, but we're here, stay present and be mindful. So a mindfulness technique, you can look into that. What it helps you to do is to break that cycle that goes on with the panic and the anxiety reaction towards any uncertain situation. And lastly, so what we can also do is to really manage the best way possible the anxiety and the stress. And some of the suggestions is exercise. You know, I just spoke now about all the tension that builds up in our bodies, and that's pretty much what happens when we get stressed out and we get flustered. All of that glucose goes into our muscle and we tense up. So when we get into an exercise regime, we're really just breaking down all that glucose and introducing some relaxation into our muscles by the oxygen that comes in. So exercise is really important in that regard. And secondly, get yourself a really healthy diet. I'm not saying you should starve yourself and not eat, but a really healthy, balanced diet, because your body and your brain are going to really benefit from it. And thirdly, get enough sleep. 6 to 8 hours of sleep is very important. I know some students and working class, they go on very little sleep, but really sleep is really important. This is the time where your body and your brain are just rebooting, recalibrating, and really just sorting things out so that you can effectively function on the days that come. And another thing is to find a moment to relax in nature. Go outside, take a walk, smell the flowers, you know, feel the breeze in your body and just feel the sun hitting you. Just relax, breathe in and out deeply. This is really important in taking care of your mental health. And last but not least, self-care. Self-care is really important. And it just says, I also matter. I should take a moment to go for that facial, to go for that manicure if I can. Just sleeping in, simple as sleeping in on a Saturday and not waking up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. for an extra 2 hours, that can really go a long way. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found this episode really useful and you can use it somewhere in life. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.